Thank you so much, Christina, for such a warm introduction and for setting the stage for our very exciting segment, insurance. And I'm really pleased to kick it off. But before I'm going to give my traditional trends overview, which I always do at our expo, so every half a year at our events here at Plug and Play, I wanted to take a quick step back and actually put the insurance vertical into perspective, where it stands with Plug and Play, and a bit about our history. So as you know, at Plug and Play, we work with more than 60 sectors, more than 60 markets. There are only some of them here on the screen. It's a cross-vertical stage, so you heard some insights from deep tech, dual use. Insurance is historically at the very core of Plug and Play operations. We started the vertical in 2016, so it's actually 10 years now that we're working with insurance companies, so carriers, reinsurance, brokers across the globe. Currently, we have more than 40 partners on our platform, and again, we're servicing all markets. The backbone of our insurance vertical is our acceleration program for startups that we do out of our Munich office for EMEA-based companies and out of our Silicon Valley office for the startups based in Americas. And today, so apart from Munich and Silicon Valley, we also have very strong partnerships happening in London, but also Paris, Vienna, which are not yet on the map here, as well as Beijing and Tokyo. So we have a truly global approach and global insights. And with that, I wanted to skip through to the exciting part, the trends. So every half a year, we do an exercise in our Insurtech team at Plug and Play in collaboration with our office in the Silicon Valley. So we always try to quantify innovation in the sector. And innovation is really tough to quantify sometimes. So we think that a very good proxy for the level of innovation, the speed of innovation in a particular sector, is the capital inflow in the new technologies that shaping up insurance in this respect. That's why don't be confused. That's why we're kicking off our trends presentation with some numbers, some graphs. So here you can see all the capital inflow in Insurtech across the globe on the left-hand side. And the interesting insight from there that we see that the pace of innovation actually slowed down, and it's been a bit in stagnation since 2023. And even though we don't have the new numbers for the current year, by first quarter you can already see that probably the dynamics this year is not going to be much better. This is the environment we're operating in. It's relevant for our insurance carriers in the room. It's relevant for startups as well to know what is the market you're building in. And I also like to always show a few biggest investment rounds that are happening specifically in Europe, just to show what type of technologies are reaching high maturity levels. And in the last quarter, we had 4 big deals happening here in EMEA. One is Alan, probably you heard of it. It's a digital health scale-up based in Paris, the biggest round of the last quarter. Mia, the data orchestration platform from the UK. Artificial Labs, the smart underwriting co-pilot, also based in London. And lastly, the pet insurance from Sweden. Again, it doesn't mean you necessarily have to explore partnerships with those companies, but it's good to see where the market stands with regards to specific topics and what level of maturity they are. And another exercise that I like doing is to go through all the investment rounds that were made public and try to analyze what are actually the topics that investors are interested in. Because Plug and Play is investor at our core, and we've been investing in startups for over 20 years now. We're specialized on early stage investing, meaning that we're the ones getting to the very new technologies, as in the first place. And those are some of the rounds that also happened across the globe, grouped by certain topics. And an interesting learning here as well, that we speak a lot about AI automation and AI workflow automation specifically. So this really truly horizontal layer that insurers are partnering with right now. And those are the topics that are still dominant, they're super relevant. We see big rounds happening in the sector. However, we see a resurrection, I would even say, of MGA models, for example, specifically targeting automotive, commercial insurance, so SMEs as one of the segments. Another interesting learning that we see, the evolvement of AI native business models in the sector, which is also something completely new. For example, AI native brokers or digital TPAs. Or even AI native full stack insurers, so startups attempting to wipe out the whole segment, such as SMEs, which is, I think, the most popular topic these days. And yeah, I think we can skip slides. An important question, why we're talking about this, why we're analyzing all the deals. We bring our knowledge and we map it out always on insurance value chain. And of course, the pace of innovation in insurance is not as fast as to change this every month, but we are trying to always find the newest things. And here you can see the full insurance value chain with the product management as the first step of it, with the new technologies that has been shaping the industry in the last month, or let's say last half a year. And I'm not going to focus on all of them individually, but just to highlight a few that I think are the most exciting ones. For example, in claims management, we are talking about the relevance of multimodality as one of the advancements in AI in general, right? So when you can when it's not just the text input, but also video or speech, and you can get an output, say, on your your claims team, right? So this is a very highly relevant trend, and one of the companies that is in the space currently building also our portfolio is Archetype AI. And another thing that I wanted to focus on, for example, in the product management space, a new type of insurance evolving, so insurance for your AI agents, right? And again, we haven't seen it happen across traditional insurance players, but startups are really catching up. And I think it's a matter of few months that we have really like a big solution in the space with like lots of partnerships and proven track record. So yeah, just to name a few. And it's a lot of text on the slide, so I'll just explain everything. And then we also like to reformulate all these new technologies, all these topics that are really dominating the market onto the opportunities for insurers. Concretely, what should we do? What is everyone else doing? And here, so we usually pick 6 of the trends. Of course, there are more of them, depends at what angle you analyze. But the most important thing is that within AI space, we really see a lot of agentic AI solutions for operational level. And an interesting thing to see that finally it's past the stage of experimenting and it's really fully on into adapting and scaling stages. Coming with a certain risks, but again, it's like a big development in the market this year specifically. Then we also see insurers trying to capture different market segments, for example, younger generations, specifically for products like life and health insurance, but more life than health. And the main idea here is that the younger generations, they have very high requirements for their insurance providers. They want the experience to be hyper-personalized, hyper-digitized. And the sector of life insurance has not been that, life insurance in general in Europe is not that widely spread. And this is really critical to capture this market niche. And so we see a lot of digitization in the life insurance space specifically. And yeah, AI native carriers I already spoke about. And then on the other 3 trends, I wanted to make a bit more of a focus in my next 3 slides. So everything around underwriting, again, we feel it's no longer anything new, but finally those type of solutions are actually scaling within companies. So we're talking about continuous underwriting, we're talking about dynamic data integration, where you can receive and analyze large amount of data in real time. And we see a lot of underwriting co-pilots. So instead of using a special software for your underwriting team, you have a co-pilot who is supporting their work. Another thing that is also very important today is that it all depends on the quality of your data and the preparedness of your systems for the AI era. And it was really interesting to see that a lot of financial services companies, so this is not specific to insurers, but in general, everyone in the financial services sector. So from bottom up, you can see how, if they adopted open standards. And open standards for data means if you can exchange data freely between your departments or within your own organization. And it's really interesting to see that the majority of companies are still at the bottom, so they don't really have the capability of exchanging data. They're built on legacy systems, and this is a big question for tomorrow. Are we really prepared to scale AI applications if we are operating on the legacy systems that are not that lack interoperability? And the third one, also wrapping up here really quickly, being mindful of time. So here we have two different trends happening. On the one hand side, we see AI native full stack insurers that are trying to take home markets. They are very fast, very efficient, especially when it comes to distribution and getting to their target groups. I put a few names of a few companies. They're all US based, so it's going to come for Europe as well at some point. And then on the other side, we also see a lot of modular innovation that can plug in really nicely into your distribution channels. And I just handpicked a few trends that I think are going to be really shaping insurance space in the next few months. For example, generative search optimization, when you can, when the idea here is that policyholders of the future are not going to be Googling, but are going to be using ChatGPT to find their insurance carriers. And you want to make sure you're somewhere on top of the search. Same with empowering brokers with AI capabilities. We see I already mentioned AI native brokers model emerging, and it could be really a good way to be more efficient in pushing your policies onto the new markets. Building an ecosystem, so everything along embedded insurance topic. Again, nothing new, but the trend that I've been seeing in this space is that a lot of carriers are moving, instead of building their own capability, they're moving to acquire well-funded startups in the space, and thus acquiring those capabilities. And another, of course, everything about knowing your customer inside out, being able to react real time to, for example, their big life changes, moving to a new flat, changing a job, and being there with customized offers for additional cross-selling opportunities. So this brings me to the end of my presentation. If we're not connected yet on LinkedIn, let's connect and speak more about insurance trends. And back to you, Christina. Thank you for your attention.